This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
Welcome back to another edition of List Building Lifestyle, back in your earbuds for another week of list building tips with your man, Igor Kheifets. What is up?
Hey, Jonathan. Well, today's episode ain't going to be just about list building, because what we're going to discuss, I think, applies to every area of your life, and especially to the areas most important to us, like health, wealth, relationships, and what I want to talk about is basically tendency is not destiny. Now think about it for a second. As a traffic provider, right, I get this question a lot where people say, what's the average conversion for X, right? What's the average conversion for an offer of some sort? Or what do people get when they promote this sort of or this type of offer with you? And they're looking for tendencies. They're looking for averages, right? And I really don't like this question, because in my opinion, that's a really bad question to ask, because tendency never guarantees results. Tendency never really tells you what you're going to get. And if anything, if I ever went by the tendency, right, if I started this business, for example, and just, decided, okay, I'm going to achieve results, the kind of results that people tend to achieve, I'd be a failure just like most people out there.
Good point.
And so this really came up for me. This really stuck for me recently when I was going through a rough patch in my health life. Well, I got this back problem, which I developed over, the last 8 years of sitting down behind a computer. And it's a lower back pain sort of thing where I don't really know how to explain this. Basically, it hurts like hell. So I found this great chiropractor who started twisting and turning me and basically made me do exercises, which I really, really hate, right? But I have to do it because that's how you heal. That's how this thing heals. You gotta bring the blood flow back into the spine. And so he's got this group of people that they come in and they do these exercises either every other day or maybe twice or 3 times a week. And I looked at them and I'm like, man, all these people are fucking broken. Like, they can barely turn their hips around, and I don't want to be like that. And I asked him the question, like, hey, how long does this guy, come and, does the exercise? And he's like, well, he's been doing it for 6 months. How long does, this lady doing it? And she's been doing it for a year. I'm like, wait a sec. So most of your people are lifers. Like, they do it a lot. Am I gonna be like that in 6 months from now? Like, still not making any progress? To which, of course, he said, no, you're gonna progress much faster, because this guy, for example, I put this guy's spine together after, a horrible car accident. And this lady over here, she used to be in a wheelchair. Now she's walking straight. And so basically he reminded me that, look, while the tendency for this sort of condition is that people live their entire life with just horrible back pain, and oftentimes it gets so bad at later stages of their life that they have to go through surgery, which is only 50-50, by the way. Like, it doesn't really guarantee a cure. While that's the tendency, you don't have to be like the rest of them, right? You don't have to be, because you can apply yourself in a way which guarantees much better, more outstanding results, which of course is something that resonated with me, because that's the same thing, that's the same message I want to, deliver to the list builders, that most people suck at email marketing. Most people suck at list building. Most people are afraid of paid traffic. Most people just plain and simple don't achieve much, but that's tendency. That's not your destiny.
Wow. I like the net results of the average internet marketer. Shit.
Well, they are.
A little bit of truth for you there, boys and girls.
You know what's ironic, Jonathan, is that it's not just for the newbies. A ton of people, I'm sure you've met them, that have been online like 3, 5, 7, and 10 years, still get nowhere. And at first, I thought it was the guru's fault. Right, the gurus were basically misleading and selling bogus information and stuff like that. But eventually, when I moved into coaching, I realized that it has nothing to do with the gurus. In fact, many gurus are actually nice folks. Like, they're really cool people, and they really care about their teams, and they really care about their clients. The problem is that most people don't really apply themselves in the habit creation aspect of the game. And we spoke about this many times before, where success is all about your daily habits, right? Success, your results derive from the habits you create in your life. So if your habit is to read one book a month on influence, it won't be long before you become a great communicator and a great influencer. But if your habit is to watch TV an hour before you go to sleep instead of reading, then your results will probably not change much from what you're getting right now. And circling back to my back pain healing class, like, I noticed there's a bunch of people who come there just to socialize. Like, the guy who leads the class, right? So he's this ex-Soviet army dude that, quite frankly, just puts people together. Like, he's very strict, very disciplined, like, no bullshit attitude, like, the way you would imagine a Soviet person. Very straightforward, let's get to work, let's get shit done kind of guy. And I respect that. I come from the same sort of background. Only I was born just before the Soviet Union fell apart, but the mentality, right, the spirit of the times kind of stayed. So, he's always getting angry at these people because they come there to talk and to kind of slack off. And if you kind of notice how he's doing the exercises where he's giving his all, right? He's just the intensity with which he's doing it is just amazing, right? While other people, they sort of like do it in a half-ass way. In the same way that people approach internet marketing, in the same way that people approach writing emails, in the same way that people approach their list building and their traffic generation, in the same way that people pretty much approach anything out there.
I don't know if I've ever asked you, Igor, but how did you make the transition into coaching from what you were doing before that?
Well, to be honest, it circles back to Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy is great at helping you get outside of your comfort zone. And he always preaches information marketing. So, for example, if he consults a chiropractor, he insists the chiropractor keeps offering his services as a chiro, right, fixing people's backs and, helping them walk again. However, he also insists that this chiropractor goes out and teaches his business to other chiropractors, which turns into a second stream of income, oftentimes matching or outgrowing the income he makes with his, profession, if you will. So once he became an established traffic provider, I stepped into the niche of teaching other people how to build traffic businesses, which actually at the time matched my income as a traffic provider. But eventually I decided to move away from it because it became too time consuming, and I had to make a decision between spending more time with my kid and giving more attention to my wife, or making more money in that business. So I had to basically shift phase and ask myself, what can I do with my traffic business to double my income, so I don't basically give up half of my income, right? So I can double my income, but without adding as much workload, which eventually, we ended up creating with Igor Soloets.
Right. And so you have the Solo VIP Club also, right? Which is some sort of coaching, but it's more on a group level rather than that one-on-one deal.
Well, actually, it's more of a hybrid.
Okay.
Unlike other coaching programs, I don't like doing weekly webinars. I just don't like the idea. So instead, what I do is I do calls. I do 30-minute calls once a month with each and every member, which we schedule up front, and I usually do those on a call day. So the call day is Sunday, and I just stack up my Sunday with calls back to back so I can give personal, undivided attention to each and every client that wants it, right? Rather than do the webinar thing, which, again, in my opinion, I don't like that. I don't like the group environment. I prefer doing one-on-one, so that's how I decided to structure the coaching. And at the same time, there's also the mastermind where you can ask questions and collaborate. There's the members area with a bunch of marketing material and content and training on email marketing, traffic generation, influence, persuasion, etc., psychology, which basically gets you up to speed on the kind of marketer you have to become in order to make money. So while there is the personal element, it is very limited, just one day per week. So I have the rest of the week for my own business and my family.
I see. So you restructured everything. That's good. Good to know. Good little tips there for anybody that wants to start that kind of business. So I derailed you. My apologies. Every once in a while, I want to dig into your business.
Well, we'll just let it slide this time. But if you ever pull that one on me again, man, I swear to God, I'm gonna
hop a plane.
I'm probably gonna spill the secrets anyway. So yeah, I can't say no to you. You know that.
Good stuff, Igor. So let's get back on track here with the intention that you started with.
Yeah, so tendency is not destiny, which means if you are attempting a new endeavor, if you are stepping into a market, if you are trying to make a name for yourself, and all you see around you is people that fail, who oftentimes will also try and convince you to give up on your dream, you should not do that. You should not give in to their doubts. And even more importantly, you should not give in to your own doubts, because your own doubts will set in quickly, and they will, just have a grip on you. Well, they usually do on me, so I'm only assuming your experience will be similar. So you have to protect your mind from these unproductive prophecies, if you will, right? So the predictions that your mind makes saying that it's not going to work, most people who attempt this fail, etc., 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 don't buy into that shit. It's not true, because tendency, or in other words, what most people do and get, does not have to be your reality. And if you ask anyone who's successful in life or in business, you'll see that that's the case, because there's always this black sheep out there, right? So there's an industry full of losers and a black sheep that makes it. Now, most people will attribute their success to luck, right? And being at the right place at the right time and yada, yada, yada. But I honestly don't buy that. I believe that anyone who became successful, even if they've had luck, which, if they practiced, they probably had luck, because I notice the more I practice, the more luck I get, like the luckier I get, because I'm prepared to take advantage of opportunities. So never, ever, ever buy into the idea that someone became successful simply because they won the lottery and they don't deserve it. Usually they do. And if they don't, they lose their success very quickly, so you can actually see them become successful and kind of, well, just fall, right? I mean, just fall very, very quickly, which is why you should look at those black sheep as the potentiality of where you can be, rather than an exception to the rule which dictates your life.
So, Igor, I want to talk about the flip side of that. So you're saying the tendency overall in most of these industries is a lot of people fail. But one of the things that I run into is when I'm talking to people, they see guys like you and like Ben and Doberman Dan, and they're like, God, those guys are so successful. I want it quicker. And so what would you say to those people who think, I just need it quicker. I need to be at their level right now?
It's impossible. It's impossible. Ben says you got to get bitten by the saber-toothed tigers out there. In other words, you have to go and make mistakes and learn from your mistakes and learn from your experiences. There's so many things starting out that you don't know yet, that you simply will not be able to shortcut this. You are where you are right now, and that's basically the perfect place for you. Now, the challenge is to learn and grow in a way which allows you to get results and build on those results. I understand the feeling, I understand the desire. And I used to be the exact same way. I used to look at Aben Pagan, I used to look at Frank Kern, I used to look at Jeff Walker, Andy Jenkins, Mike Filsame, and all these guys, right? I remember going through Frank Kern's Mass Control 2.0. I implemented, John, I kid you not, I implemented the entire course to a T. Okay, all 4 modules, starting with product creation to JV, invitations. I sent out snail mail letters to people. I did everything. But I sold maybe 4 copies of my ebook.
Wow.
Now, it's not because Frank's method didn't work. It still works. I mean, if you do this now, it still works. But I still was not in a place in my life and in my business where I could really take advantage of that. I did not have the network required to make that happen. I did not have the rep required to make that happen. Like, if you get a snail mail letter from a guy you don't know inviting you to do a launch, sure, you might pay attention for a little bit, but unless he's super convincing, you ain't gonna do it. So that's what happened with me. I sent out letters to all the big guns. I found their websites. I went to whois.com to look up their addresses. I did everything. I worked really hard that launch. I think I worked for 2 months. It didn't happen. But at first I thought it was because the course was crap, but it wasn't. I now realize that I lacked so much. And the problem, Jonathan, for someone in my position at the time was I didn't even understand that I lacked that. I didn't even get that. I couldn't. I just couldn't. My knowledge base, my experience base wasn't rich enough to appreciate many of those things. And, sometimes I train new employees, and I really hate that. I'll be honest. I really hate training new employees, but sometimes you got to do it. And so when training a new salesperson, the challenge is not to snap, for me personally, not to snap at the sales guy, because, I see things that the new sales guy cannot see, because I read, hundreds of books. I've done tens of thousands of sales conversations. I've done hundreds of conversations over the phone, selling coaching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm now able to spot things most people can't. Like, I look for clues which are invisible to most people. Just like you, Jonathan, if you listen to a podcast, you can probably pinpoint exactly what are the mistakes, the podcast owner is making. However, to most audiences are just oblivious. They don't know. They just listen to the podcast, right? So it just stands out for you because that's your thing, that's your profession. So the same thing for me. And so when I train a new sales guy, I used to snap at them because they're like, how can you not see this? How can you say something like this, which means that, and how can you not understand that? And that wasn't right of me. I should have, kept in mind the curse of knowledge and the fact that I was at the place so far ahead that they couldn't even comprehend what I was talking about. So the same thing when it comes to success. Someone looks at Doberman Dan, or someone looks at you, or someone looks at Ben. They say, oh my God, these guys are so successful. They rake in a ton of money. They have the lifestyle. Jonathan surfs every other day. Doesn't seem to work at all. It looks like he's got, living the dream lifestyle. He's got the beard, everything. But truth of the matter is, Jonathan probably went through a shit ton of trial and error. Jonathan probably read a bunch of books. Jonathan went to Dan Sullivan's, strategic coach training, right? Jonathan has gone through a bunch of different things. Jonathan has probably failed 2 or 3 other businesses before this one. So all of that preceded his supposedly overnight success, right?
I like the sounds of that. Thank you for painting a pretty picture.
Well, there you go. So anyway, my point is that the reason Jonathan, Ben, Doberman Dan, and every other guru out there are successful ain't because they're lucky, but because they failed enough times and studied enough things to become the kind of person you must become to make X amount of dollars. I believe Napoleon Hill said that in Think and Grow Rich, where he said, if you want to make $1 million, you have to become a person that's worth $1 million. And this sentence, this quote, really sums up what this idea is all about, like what I'm trying to say right now, where you will not make 10 grand per month until your inner game is worth 10 grand per month. And that can only happen once you learn 10 grand per month worth of skills, once you make 10 grand per month worth of mistakes, right? Once you go through 10K per month worth of life experiences, and on and on and on.
Good stuff, Igor. Good stuff, man. And I feel like we got to do in a future show, we got to go back into inner game some more deeper. But what do you have coming up for us next time?
Well, next time I pulled a rabbit out of a hat, man, honestly, because I secured an interview with a person who never does them anymore. He's the one of the co-creators of Black Belt Recruiting. His name is Mike Dillard. He created magnetic sponsoring, which changed literally hundreds of thousands of lives. I remember starting out in online marketing, and that was the first course I purchased and went through because I started in network marketing. So basically, I'm truly excited to share with you guys that next episode is me grilling Mike Dillard about what it takes to become successful in the internet.
Wow, that's a big score. So I'm looking forward to that one. This is a wrap for List Building Lifestyle. We will be back in your earbuds next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.